What's up, guys? I'm Allie, this is Natalie, and we are Off the Record Podcast. And today we are going to be talking about everything that has been happening in the news for the week. It's been a lot. Today is March 21st. Wait, yes? Yes. I'm trying to think if I want to say that for the... But we're going to drop it on the 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay, this is your weekly rundown. So go ahead, get comfortable, because it's not like any other news or official type of news organization. It's not like that, okay? We are just two friends. We're talking about what we're seeing in the news, what's going on in the world. I have a journalism background, but like, we are not coming at you.
I have mass communications and media studies too.
Hey.
Yeah.
Period, bitches. So we got a little something behind it. But like, this is more casual. We just really want to talk about like what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Because, hopefully you've seen the first episode. So you know that
we want to keep you up to date as well as keeping each other up to date.
Yeah.
We've said this before, but
for the news.
There's just a lot going on. So the news gets oversaturated, and so we kind of want to break things down to a digestible level for, I feel like, you guys and for people who kind of have the same mindset and views as us.
Exactly. So let's dive on into it, because this week was crazy, okay?
This week.
A lot has been going on. So we've talked about it before that Trump's administration is very unprecedented. Like, a lot of stuff is going on all at once. It's definitely like they're just throwing everything at us so that we feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so that like the system is also overwhelmed, because he's shutting down things so fast that now people are looking at the situation from multiple different angles and being like, is this constitutional? Is this like even ethical? Like, it's just there's all types of opinions about what's going on. But the latest thing that happened was President Trump decided to sign an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, if you were paying attention during his when he was running for president, during his campaign, if you were paying attention, a lot of people were talking about Project 25. They were saying that he had a lot of these very radical ideas brought to him by a right-wing, I don't even know if I want to say radical, but like a right-wing organization, I guess, group. And I forgot exactly what their name was. I'll double check. But basically what you need to know is that they basically gave him the outline of what they would expect him to do if he became president, as a blueprint for him, but at the same time kind of as like a compromise on them supporting him, but this is what they expect him to do once he's in.
Okay.
And he was saying like, oh, it's just their suggestions. I don't have to actually take them. However, almost every single thing that they wrote in that outline, he has done. And this is one of those things. So a lot of people have been saying it's been on the horizon, but today or now it's officially starting to become into effect. So on March 20th, 2025, Trump signed the executive order initiating the dismantling of the Department of Education, aiming to transfer educational authority back to states and local communities. When people first hear that, they're not exactly sure like how to feel. They're not exactly sure they're not exactly sure if that's good news or if it's bad news.
Yeah.
My thing is that from what I understand, the Department of Education was created because there were a lot of students back in the day who were not being treated the same as their other counterparts. So for example, like white students were being treated differently than black students. Like, black students didn't have the same resources as white students, especially when they were in the South. Yeah. It was like black students had no resources for their schools, but white students did, for the most part, that kind of stuff. Or even like making sure that those with disabilities can actually access the school, but then also have their own type of classroom that can really help with their developmental needs or whatever it is, you know? So that kind of stuff is what people are really worried about happening, is that now if you take the federal government out of it, those schools can go back to ignoring those students because it's not a majority, they're a minority. And if you already don't have the extra funds, whereas, you know, it's more than likely not going to go to them.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are worried about that. Now, another thing is that the Department of Education oversees essential programs, including Pell Grants. So a lot of people use Pell Grants to get into college, and so that's very important. I did too. I absolutely did. Title I funding for low-income schools. That's very, very important. Shifting these responsibilities to other agencies may disrupt the distribution and oversight of these funds. So that's the other thing that I also worry about too, is where is this money now going to go? Like, I feel as though it's very easy for you to be like, we're saving you so much money, we're closing all these things so that we can, you know, save. It's like, okay, are you now like closing all these things and then cutting a check to pay for our debt so we can take a large sum off of it? Or like, where is this money going? And I think that if anything, if you don't make these things clear to the public and to employees of the government from the beginning, then it starts to feel very, very suspicious as to like where could this money be ending up.
So is it like the amount of taxes we pay to go down because of this types of stuff?
That's the thing. Like, I don't believe so. I haven't seen anything that says that it will.
Did he say something about income tax? About abolishing income tax?
That's what he's trying to say.
I have no problem, I feel like, paying taxes for like stuff like this, like you know, federal funding for especially like public schools and stuff. It's like we went to public school. It's like my daughter goes to public school. I have no problem for like paying taxes for if we were to have universal health care. Stuff like that, I feel like it's kind of like, again, in my opinion, like our just like a duty. It's for the greater good, you know, for everyone to have free health care. Everyone puts something in, which I'm totally for that. But when it's like stuff like this where it's like you don't know where it's like, because how much of our taxes and stuff that we're paying is going towards, you know, the military, that's going towards them by paying Elon Musk for all those fucking cyber trucks or whatever, just like certain stuff. It's you know,
it's really not making a whole lot of sense to me just yet anyway. But you're right. It's like, I don't want the Department of Education to be closed so that we can buy cyber trucks or Tesla.
I'm all for
whatever
like
the fuck.
lowering our taxes and stuff like that. I'm all for that, but I feel like I'm not for that at middle and lower classes expense. At the expense of the middle and the lower class.
1,000%.
Because the gap between middle class and upper class is like astronomical now.
Yes.
At this point.
I mean, like, it's so bad that like when you think about the huge difference between the percentage that billionaires pay compared to regular taxpayers is crazy. Like, we pay like a little bit over 30% into our our taxes, and billionaires pay like 17%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They pay like also, less than, like, that's crazy.
And I feel like to be considered upper class now, it's like you have to make way more. Obviously, it's like with inflation, like the times and everything, you have to make way more anyways. But versus the cost of living, like I feel like if you make like over 100K, like between 100 and 150, you're still considered like upper middle class, really, even, because it's like, especially we live in Los Angeles, so especially here, that doesn't get you very far. It really doesn't. That's true. It's just like most of us, I feel like, I mean, I'll speak for myself because you don't live with your parents, but it's like, I'm like, when the fuck am I ever gonna be able to like own a house or do any of that? It's like, that's why the stuff with the fires in Pasadena, Altadena were so devastating. It's because Like my most of those houses are like generational homes, so then when people lose their houses, everyone's like, oh well, you can just like with the Palisades, right, like, oh, you can just afford to buy another house or go to your other property or whatever. But it's like here, my parents moved here 30 years ago, right, around the time I was born. They moved into Pasadena. And they would not, if they were trying to live here nowadays with the money that they make, they wouldn't be able to afford to live in Pasadena.
Wow.
And it's like, that is the same with a lot of the people in Altadena as well. It's like, you moved into here before, it's like the houses on my block, they're like $1 million houses.
Wow.
But they're not mansions. They're not crazy. They're not like, it's like, you know my house, it's like, it's a 1 story, but it's like, this house is probably worth like over $1 million.
That's crazy.
Maybe to think about that, just because of the area. It's in Pasadena, and like, so it's just like crazy. Like, and then just think of the houses in Altadena that got burned down. It's like, those are like hillside properties, right? Those are like nice houses on hillside properties. So it's like, for people to go and build new houses on there, of course people are the ones that sell. It's like, those projects, they're gonna be multi-million-dollar homes up there.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, to think about all of that, it's like, so again, I'm all for lowering taxes, but at whose expense and also at whose benefit? Because if the billionaire class, is benefiting more than middle and lower class from these tax breaks, that doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. And what's aggravating is, like, I feel like he keeps disguising it as like, oh yeah, it's a good thing for you guys, and it's like,
your egg prices are gonna be lower, your gas prices are gonna be low, and it's like, what? I was like, I guarantee it's like buying a carton of eggs isn't, even at the high price, that's not making me go into debt.
Yeah,
it's seriously. Like everything
honestly
else.
I've been eating like less eggs.
I know, dude.
My boyfriend been going crazy though.
I wanted to show you this. I took a screenshot of it, and it had to do with trickle down economics. And okay, so it's like, prior to the Reagan era, trickle down economics was called the horse and sparrow theory. Feed the horses lots of oats, and the sparrows get to pick them out of its poop. I thought that was so interesting, because you hear about trickle down economics, like you hear it a lot. Like, you feed the top, you give the top this, and they create jobs, they create businesses and companies and products, and then it's like, so the fact that it was called the horse and sparrow theory, it's like, that makes so much sense. Like, we're benefiting in it from a way that's like out of their shit, you know what I mean? Like, it was, I don't know, I thought that was so funny.
Crazy.
Isn't that funny?
Yes, that's wild.
So I grew up conservative Christian. That's how I grew up. You wouldn't ever guess it, would ya? And so I feel like the enticing aspect of the defunding the Department of Education and going back to states and local rules is because it's more control, right, over what is being taught in schools, right? So I feel like that's the appeal for Republicans or for religious Christians or whatever. It's like, because then they can control what's being taught, versus a federal funded school. It's like, you have to teach certain things.
Exactly.
And everyone now is saying that they don't want kids being taught about gay stuff. They don't want any of that. I remember growing up, my mom was really upset, and I remember being told this story like a lot. And this is when it's like, saying it back now that I'm like 30 and like all this, it's insane. Yeah. But I remember being told like just these stories, right, about you're gonna go to school, and if you try to pray before, at lunch, you're gonna get in trouble. But it was one of those things where it's like, don't ever let anyone tell you can't pray. And it's because like a story popped up somewhere that a kid got in trouble. I don't know, you know what it is, but it's like, so then now that spreads. And so I remember like being told, like, always stick up for your faith, and always, I remember there being like this story of like, if someone comes in and is like, who's Christian. It was like a crazy. This is insane. I'm telling you because I remember used to thinking about what would I do in this situation.
Yeah.
It was like if a gunman came in, and I don't remember if this may have been from like a religious movie or something that I saw, like maybe a Back to the Future. What's that one? The Christian movie, like
where they all got
the
rapture or something.
Maybe it could have been a movie like that. I don't know, but
yeah,
it was something like a gunman came in and was like, stand up if you're Christian, stand up if you believe in God, and then you were gonna get killed. And I remember the whole point of this conversation, and again, I can't remember if it was a movie or something, but I do remember it being a conversation with my mom. And I remember saying, like, it's better to die a martyr, right, than to, like, reject God.
Oh,
you know, or reject,
everyone.
yeah, like that type of thing, than to, like, not stand up for your faith. And I remember thinking about that and thinking, like, okay, like, trying to put myself in that mindset, like, would I stand up if someone said that? Like, yeah, okay, then I'll get to go be with God. But then it's funny because I never really believed that much because it always just never made any sense to me. So I had a lot of questions. I was that one kid that was just like, but that doesn't make sense. But the Bible is based on dreams men had. I just had a dream last night that I was a big bowl of mac and cheese and that a huge, you know what I mean? Like, it never made any sense to me. So I was very questioned. So I remember, like,
this is not to, like, you know,
no,
towards anybody who does. This
at
is
all,
not us, you know, but everyone has their own opinion.
Everyone has their own opinion. And I totally support people who believe in God and, like, faith and stuff like, and spirituality.
Yes.
And again, it's like, for me, the biggest problem I had with faith growing up was just that I was around a lot of hypocrisy, and I didn't like that version of it because I was told all this stuff, and then all of the people that I knew were telling me all this stuff to act one way, they all acted a different way, and so it was a very hard for me to believe in God and that their God because they didn't act like it. You know what I mean? It's just like stuff like that. But to my point of it being like, I can see how a lot of Republicans or people on the you know, right side, they're very faith-based that I've noticed. Like, a lot of people use being Christian and the Bible as why they choose to vote a certain way.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that would be the appeal of the Department of, is of, like, because you can say it's like, oh, you're not defunding whatever, but it's like, no, we're taking the schools back into our own hands, and then we're gonna get to control what our kids learn in school, what we don't want them to know, what we do want them to know, what we do, because it's like they can't teach about God in public schools, right? So I don't think they can teach about that in public schools, like faith and stuff. So I feel like
most places no, because it is supposed to be, you know, a separation,
church and state. I agree.
Exactly. But I mean, there's some states right now that are really pushing it. Like, I want to say it was something like, I think like something like in Utah or something like that. They were making
like more Mormon in Utah.
Right, exactly. They were making like the kids like do a prayer or something. You know how you're supposed to do like the Pledge of Allegiance? They were like making the kids do like a prayer before they started school or something like that. And people were like, well, what about the kids who aren't Christian? Like, you're forcing them to also pray.
I respect my parents and I respect their faith, and it's like, but even now at dinner, it's like, close your eyes, say amen. And I'm like, I don't believe it. But it's like, I'm respectful, but at the same time, I think it's funny how it's like almost hostile.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like
what's gonna happen to you if I don't pray over my food?
Yeah.
Like,
so it's
I need you to chill the fuck out.
It's very much like they take it as disrespect if I don't join in, you know, singing hymns or whatever the fuck they're doing. And it's like, but at the same time, they can do it wherever, whenever, all the time. And which I think is fine. I just think, again, my biggest deal with with religion, organized religion for me is the hypocrisy. And again, it's not
that's it. That's
all
it
Christians.
is.
It's not all religions. It's
right.
Not, but it's most of the people in my life that I've grown up with that have been religious, as I've seen that I've been around a lot of hypocrisy, and that gives me like religious trauma, a lot of religious trauma, and that's why I personally just stay away from it. But I think, again, like, just to tie it back, like, I think that would be a big appeal for defunding the Department of Education or disbanding the because I can see, again, having heard my mom, say all this stuff about public schools and didn't like that I learned about this in public school. She didn't let me go to sex ed in high school because they had to sign. I got pregnant when I was 18. It's like, wouldn't you want, I mean, for me, this is how I feel about my daughter. My parents, also helped me raise her a lot in the early years. So it was very much like, if they're watching you on Sunday, you're going to go to church with them because, they're watching you. And I also think that, especially in kids' church, they do teach you good values and morals and stuff like that. And
I believe all of that.
And that's totally fine. So it's like, of course, it's like going, it's like my parents' house, their rules. I'm still going to support. They're helping me, so I'm going to support them. But I very much have told my daughter from day one what I believe. And then she can decide. Yeah. And wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want to know all the things? Because then it's like, if you do believe in God, then it's like, it's real. I want them to be so full force believing in God. You know what I mean? Like, they know all the options. They know exactly and it's like, I feel like that's more of true faith. Yes. Versus then blindly
forcing or
following or whatever, not letting people know the options, because people can know, because then it feels like you're not really having the right to choose, right?
So people should be able to, I don't have a problem with the states deciding what they want to teach their children or what, the kids or whatever.
It's gonna get very, very, very picky. It almost feels like the people who, again, aren't with the majority are probably gonna have to move to find a decent education.
That too, but also, that's the other thing.
Which is gonna create divide. It's like
right. But what I'm trying to say is that I also feel as though, like, it also leaves for so many gaps. Like, I feel like it makes sense to have, like, at least, like, some type of standardization across the country where it's like, hey, you all should know how to read by this age. Mm-hmm. You should all know how to count in this grade. Those kind of, like, stepping stones. That's what I'm also kind of worried about, is, like, if the states are in charge, they can then prioritize what they think is more important. And the thing is, we already have a high percentage of adults in this country that are illiterate already. So I'm already like, with already having the federal government's hand in it and giving you extra money, you're already doing not that great of a job. Now that the feds take themselves out of it, do we expect you to do better now that you have no training wheels now? Like, you weren't even driving straight before. Now we're going to take the training wheels off and just hope that you find your balance finally. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It just doesn't, it seems too premature to be doing that because there's just, like, nothing really set in place. Yeah. And then I just don't understand, like, what is also supposed to then replace it. Like, what's going to happen to that money? What's going to happen to, just making sure that everyone across the country kind of has somewhat of a similar education. Just to wrap it up real quick for us, because we did this one.
That's an hour.
We did this one. Yeah. Basically, so the management of the $1.6 trillion federal student loan portfolio could also face challenges during this transition. Potentially affecting borrowers. We're not really sure if that means that
it's canceling student loan debt.
All
right, fine. Dismantle.
No, I don't think Trump wants to do that at all. I think if anything, I'm kind of just worried that he's going to sell the debt, and then, like, our rates are going to be even worse, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to make it even worse on us. Whoever the private sector company is that takes over. But
Doge.
Right. Exactly. Literally. Right. That we'll see what happens. Now, another thing that has been brought up because of this whole situation is whether or not this is constitutional. And like, what are the checks and balances to see whether or not this actually goes through? Because just because Trump signs an executive order does not mean that it's now law. Mm-hmm. So it now needs to go through the Senate. There are 100 seats in the Senate in total. To pass this executive order, he needs 60 votes on his side. Now, I just looked it up.
Yeah.
To see how many how many Republicans, how many Democrats are in. And supposedly there's a majority of 53 Republicans in the Senate, and there's a minority of 47 Democrats. It's still pretty close. And then there is oh wait, hold on. Oh, I see. Never mind. Okay, so the way that they do it is, I guess they break it down to, okay, so Republicans, there's 53 Republicans. There's 45 Democrats, and then there's 2 independents.
Gotcha.
I guess that in total, that makes the minority group 47.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
gotcha.
plus 2 independents.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, wait, what? Okay, and then the majority is 53.
Without Department of Education, she wouldn't have been able to do that, man.
Never! Oh yeah, let's also talk about the memes that have been going around since this has gone up. But real quick, just so that we can be clear. He needs 60 votes to push this through. And so far, I've been seeing a few, like, of the Democrats, of the senators, going on their Twitter or their X account under Elon Musk's platform. Anyway, but they're going up there and they're being like, we'll see you in court, or you got us fucked up. There's even, like, the New York's Attorney General is also saying that she'll see them in court because she's like, this is not going through, like, we're not doing that. So supposedly there are people who are up in arms, and so they're, I don't know, supposedly, people are freaking out, as they should, as we absolutely should be freaking out. But I just don't know. I think that, like, I always still get shocked about, like, when we actually go down and do the votes, who is a flip-flopper.
Yeah. So I feel like you never know. I feel like you can't ever predict what the outcome is going to be, even if you think, just like with Hillary Clinton going against Trump the first time. Mm-hmm. Everyone thought Hillary was going to win, and so I am not surprised anymore, really. Yeah. Or I'm not ever confident anymore in anything, really. I feel like things can get fucked so fast now.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see what happens. I'm really hoping that they're really about their shit this time. Mm-hmm. Honestly, guys, like, I am, like, so worried. Like, part of me is like, should I start, like, finding where I need to, like, go protest? Like, this is just so scary to me. I feel like we should all be calling, like, all of our representatives and just flipping the fuck out. But I don't know.
I do think that we're fortunate enough to live at least in a place where that the majority of us feel the same way. Like, at least we live in, like,
yeah, you're right, in our area.
Yeah, in our area. Because it's like, I know it's like you go down to Orange County and it's pretty red over there too, right? But
boy, is it.
I feel like, I don't know.
I call it Red County.
Yeah, literally, at least.
Yeah. Now, can we also just talk about how they want to dismantle the Department of Education, and yet the people who are in the middle of doing it cannot fucking spell for shit, okay? So, for example, I'm going to show Natalie. Well, she already saw these, but I guess I'm just going to do a quick little screenshot for you all.
Funny, though, dude. Oh, my God.
Yes. So, there are some memes that are going around because they're, people are calling out these representatives on their shit. So, apparently, Speaker Mike Johnson from the great state of Louisiana wants to get rid of the Department of Education. So yeah, like, there was literally, like, this meeting that they were having, and
I love how
it was supposed to be the Supreme
is, dude.
Me too. So it was supposed to be the Supreme Court of Louisiana. They were having some meeting, but right behind them, the projection screen that was supposed to say Louisiana was misspelled. So yeah, get your fucking shit together, Louisiana, first of all. And then also, so Elon Musk retweeted a meme of Trump next to like this tombstone of the Department of Education, and him doing like this peace sign or whatever. And what was just crazy is the fact that it was misspelled.
Department was misspelled.
Yes. Like, it's just too ridiculous. Like, it almost is unbelievable how ridiculous that they are. So, I don't know. Oops, I should not turn that off. But yeah, like, I just feel as though sometimes just like watching this all play out online and in the media, it's just like, if this wasn't so scary and sad, I really would be laughing.
Yeah.
Because they're so stupid sometimes. Like, this shit, or like the stuff that they do is just so ridiculous. Like when Elon did the Nazi salute, and we're all just gonna sit there and let this motherfucker say, I was throwing my heart to the crowd, and then it just so happened all these other pundits and Republicans who never had done the salute before all of a sudden started doing the same thing. All of a sudden they're all throwing their hearts to the crowd. And it's crazy because when you do a clip of actual present day Nazis doing that,
they're doing the exact same thing.
The exact same gesture. So it's just really, really wild to me.
Yeah.
The things that we're seeing, and it's being normalized, or it's just a joke.
It's a circus.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone, the rest of the world is just laughing at us.
Oh my God, did you guys know anything about World Talk? If you go on TikTok, there's something called World Talk. As in, the rest of the world is trying to get messages to Americans through a fucking hashtag, because they know that not all of the media is really reporting their opinions about our situation. Yeah. So they're on there and they're just like, I want you all to know, you should have been protesting. We can't fucking help you because some of us are already in dictatorships, or like some of us already have, like, our countries are already pretty fucked as it is. So we can't help you and hold your hand through this. But if you're not already rioting and, you know, flipping out, you should be, you know, shit like that.
Didn't Trump say too, I don't know if you have this in there, but Trump said that he was going to run for a third term again.
I did hear that he had mentioned that, and I remember my dad was like so freaked out about it. And at the time I was like, no, but now I believe it.
Dictatorship.
There's a reason for all of these things being in place. Like, no one should be president for that long. If you look at all these other dictators, okay, for example, in Sudan right now, in South Sudan, their president has been the president since, I want to say, it's been like a ridiculous amount of time. I think it's been like something over 11 years or something like that. It's been like a ridiculous amount of time that he has remained president. He has said many, many times, oh, I'm going to step down. I'm going to like respect what the people have voted. Never does. Instead, there is all types of apartheid and war going on in South Sudan, and he has just remained in power because there's just so much division. And so he's remained a dictator. Nothing has gotten better. If anything, just genocide has continued to go on, and people can't even go, like, a lot of people who were from Sudan can't even go back to go visit family who are still in Sudan. So I look at them as like as you know, that is just a little tiny peek into what could really happen to us, and that is actually happening like right now in the world. It's barely getting reported on, at least to us. We barely know that this is happening, but there's all-out wars going on throughout the world because of dictators not letting go of power, because they want to force whatever their belief system is upon their people, and if their people don't want it, they're rejecting it, and still they're getting killed for it. So it's just like stuff like that, or even like now with Trump deporting people. At first everyone's like, well, it's the illegals, it's the
criminals, it's the and it's like,
now he's
not
targeting
just
people. Now he's even targeting people who just have disagreed with him. There are even people,
or people who haven't, just normal people who just don't have like a visa yet. Yeah,
that's true. Or like, even if like they have been checking in And doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, people who are still doing what they're supposed to. Not criminals, not making waves even politically.
Yeah,
which isn't a good enough excuse regardless, because freedom of fucking speech. So it's like this stuff that's going on right now is so crazy, and it's so scary, because I feel like most of us, I mean, like, Allie and I were lucky enough to be born here, but it's like, I have, you know, I'm second generation, so it's like, it's like, I know so many people who weren't born here, but it's like, it's just so terrifying. It's genuinely just based on fucking luck. Yeah, like, just that you so happen to be born here or not born here. Or what if you were a baby and your mom brought you over? You know what I mean? It's like, stuff like that is just,
wow.
It's so wrong.
It is wrong. Alright, so President Trump claimed that egg prices have decreased since the previous administration. He literally tweeted, "Egg prices are way down." And he put it in all caps, guys, so it must be true. From the Biden-inspired prices, he said if just a few weeks ago. I think he meant of just a few weeks ago. This is why we should really be dismantling the Department of Education.
Yeah.
He said groceries and gasoline are down also. Now, if the Fed would do the right thing and lower interest rates, that would be great.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So basically, I had to double check, because I'm like, is that true? Is that real? Because I even looked it up, and they were saying that, like, there's actually somebody, I can't remember what her name is. There's somebody that Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rowlands says she's optimistic about egg prices going down, while cautioning that this is please pay attention to this sentence, because this is the type of fucking foolery that they do every single time that they put out a statement that I'm like, no one in the room can call them out on this bullshit. She says they may go back up a little bit, but hopefully now we're in a good spot.
Shit is ridiculous, dude.
How did you just say that we're good, we're straight, we're optimistic, that the prices are going to keep going down? However,
they might go back up.
They may go back up a little bit. But when they do, hopefully they'll just stop there. Like, bitch, what are you talking about?
That's crazy.
Not to call anyone out their name, but come on now. Like, you guys are just ridiculous. Just fucking ridiculous. Anyway, so the current agricultural reports indicate that egg prices have remained stable. They've basically stayed the same since they were when Biden was in office, with no significant decrease attributable to recent policy changes. What do you know? You mean signing all these executive orders that have to do with dismantling Department of Education?
Yeah.
The agricultural, the agricultural aid or whatever for everyone else. So you're telling me that somehow didn't help our egg prices?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Besides, I would rather have egg prices be higher and rent be lower.
Hello.
You know.
I don't give a fuck about an egg. I can pass on an egg. I cannot pass on room and rent.
Yeah. Dude.
Exactly. Okay, so they're also saying that there are other factors that influence egg prices. For example, feed costs, production rates, market demand, and all that, rather than just solely based off of administrative policies.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Which is absolutely fair.
But then
I
it's
just
like,
think it's
why
for him.
even like promote that if that's something you can't directly
do anything about?
Yeah, literally. Like, you can't do any.
He's trying to be like, a win's a win. But the thing is like, buddy, it's the same. We haven't
won anything. I know.
Right. There hasn't been a decrease. So it's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Now, remember earlier I said, like, pay attention to the stuff that they are also trying to erase. So from our history, what they're trying to erase from our history. So for example, they're removing the Black Lives Matter mural. So apparently, there's that big giant Black Lives Matter mural. I believe that it was, the Black Lives Matter mural was like a block away from the White House in Washington, D.C. And so Trump told the governor to remove the mural or he would pull their federal funding.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that they did try and like hold off on doing it for a while, but finally they just had to give in. And so the governor finally, you know, went and painted over it. And so now they're in the process of...
I feel like that's one of the least surprising things, though.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually surprised
about I don't know what, again, it's like I need to start, now that we're talking about this stuff, I need to start like saving it like that, like that other one. Something about, I don't even know if you should put this in, but it's something about a Confederate, I don't know if it was a Confederate statue or a Confederate something that people were, that they, I think somewhere just put up somewhere. I don't know, but it was something like, again, I don't know exactly what exactly
that shit down too.
But again, it's like it makes so much sense, and I'm genuinely, honestly surprised that they didn't do that sooner. That they didn't take it down sooner.
Me too.
Because I feel like the Black Lives Matter stuff is like, it's the first stuff to go. Anything that has to do with like literally minorities is like the first thing to go.
Yeah, DEI was out the window the moment he came in.
So it's like interesting. I mean, again, it's like it's horrible and it's sad and I don't agree with it, but I'm totally not fucking surprised.
True.
And it's funny too because we think like that everything that's happening is like, it's so crazy and so drastic, but it's like we're literally can't be surprised anymore. Something comes up and they're like, okay, now like tomorrow, oh my gosh, all males now have to be circumcised no matter what. Every single guy needs to report and be circumcised. We'd be like, I mean, that's on par for what's going on. But you know what I mean? Like stuff that's really crazy that you think like, whoa, that would never happen in a million years. It's like stuff like that's happening. So it's funny that it's like, we're just not, no one's fucking surprised anymore. You're just like, yep. Everyone's like, can you believe it? And you're like, yes, I can believe it because of all the other fucking shit that's happening right now.
Yeah. And that's really sad about, like, that's a sad
all indicator. To get their tubes tied at 35. The slogan, Make America Great Again, it alludes to
there was
America being great at one point. And when you consider America's history and starting with, you know, America started because of genocide and killing Native Americans. And it's like, to think, and then, you know, the great time was great for white people, right? When you think of like what, like the cookie cutter people wanted to pick it, the American dream doesn't involve black people, right? And so it's so when they say Make America Great Again, I remember, again, I had a conversation with my mom the first time Trump ran, and it was like, yeah, well, again, and it kept saying again, and I was like, when was it? When? Because it's not great. Great is great for everybody. And I'm like, so maybe, and again, my parents aren't white. That's the thing that blows my fucking mind. Like, my parents are not white. My family's from South America. So we're white passing, and I think that that's the white passing with no accents. Starting from my aunts and uncles, my parents, no accents. So my grandparents' accents, yes. You know, their children, no accents, look white passing, and then so it's like, so they're white, basically. And so it was such a big thing because I was like, but slavery. Like, I remember telling my mom, but slavery, like, how, what are you talking about great again? Like, and I remember
when you think about just about any time period for America, it's like, don't get me wrong, there have been some small blips that America has probably been somewhat peaceful, but there's always been some shit. Like,
there's always been some
all this civil unrest, there was so much racism, segregation, war, you know what I mean? Like, there was always something, and people are like, oh, I wish I could go back to then.
The 50s, like, but it's like, again, if you
do you really want to go back there?
A white man, really, even a white woman, you could still, you're having it better than everybody else.
You had it better. But let's also just think about it. Like, if everybody had to really do the draft like they did back then,
You know,
would you really be that happy to be the white guy? Because guess what, you were definitely getting signed. I don't know.
It's just the whole concept of Make America Great Again has always seemed so laughable to me, because again, it's like when I think of great, I think of it, you know, the economy and society benefiting everybody. And if you don't, then I wouldn't call that great. And so again, and then all of Trump's, you know, propaganda, just everything going on, it's like, it's heavily based on race, whether people want to, you know, say it or not.
Right.
Like it is.
It is. It absolutely is. And it's going to become more and more clear as we go.
It's race based, and then I think then it's gonna start becoming wealth based, right? So it is wealth based, but the white people don't know that yet. You know what I mean? Like the poor middle class white people, I feel like can't tell that yet.
Yes.
That it's more about wealth than it is about white, and because that's why when we see a lot of, I don't know, we're getting too into it, but I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
It's a mess. It's
a mess. It's a whole mess.
It is. All right, so let's talk about some more Aussies.
I love how I was like, I don't really want to talk about politics.
And then look at you.
Do you know what's funny is I think because I was watching one of Brittany Broski's podcasts, and she was like talking about some stuff, and I was just like, you know what? Again, fuck anybody who that doesn't agree with what we have to say. Because at that point, again, it's like we talked about this before. It's like we're talking about equality and human rights.
Yes.
And at that point, if you don't fucking like me, then don't fuck with me. Then you don't have to like me.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think, again,
and I just feel like
it's scary going into it and talking about it.
But like you should do it anyway, because I also feel as though like there are so many people who are afraid to talk about it, or who are acting as though it's not happening, or acting like it's not going to affect them. And there's also some people who genuinely are happy that these things are happening, and so they're not really commenting because like they're cool with what's going down. Yeah. The thing though is that like I don't want to look back on it and be like telling my grandkids like
we didn't say anything.
I didn't say shit. Yeah, I just I was like everybody else. I just watched it as everything went down. It's like you think about the 60s or like the 70s, and you think about like the Black Panthers, you think about the people who did the marches, the protests, you think about, I mean, even, you know, Martin Luther King and all these people, like the freedom riders and all, like, it's like, if those people didn't take the chance to, like, possibly get their asses whooped, get arrested, killed. Like, some people got killed, exactly, it's like, if they hadn't taken the risk, we would not have gotten the reward. Yeah. So I also just feel as though, like, fuck it. Like, I don't want to look back and be like, damn, I was a pussy-ass bitch because I couldn't say shit about it, even though I knew that shit was wrong. Like, same thing that they did in Germany when Hitler was coming into power, was he was relying on the people's prejudices, and he knew that the people who didn't believe in that were too polite to go against the grain.
And then he scared them too, right?
Yeah.
And I think this happens a lot. I feel like when we're growing up, learning about you know, the Nazi regime, and then also learning about slavery in America, it's normal to kind of think back to that time and think, what would I have done? And everyone wants to think that they would be not even a hero, but like, you know, like the super. I would be nice to black people, to the black kids. You know, I wouldn't look at them any differently. And then it's like 2020 when all the Black Lives Matter stuff comes along. And I remember having this argument with my mom because you and I were going to go to a protest in downtown LA. And I remember my mom being super against it, not wanting me to go. And I was like, Mom, this is history. And it's like, I can't look back at history and be like, I would have hid the Jews in my basement. I would have been against slavery. I would have, and not do anything right now. This is what it is. This is being, so I'm like, so what side do I want to be on? Do I want to be on the side that says nothing and let all of this unjust, just horrific shit happen to people?
Right.
Or do I want to be on the side that just always chooses equality for everybody? And that's what I believe, and that was one of my biggest things where I was just like, Mama, it's like, I don't really give a fuck what you have to say, what you think about it. Like, again, if you want to be on whatever side, that's your choice. But it's like, you would be, again, it's like, just think about that then. Think about, put yourself in Nazi Germany and think about, would you be selling them out? Because it's like, you're not doing shit, right? What do they say? Not doing anything is just as bad as being on the wrong side.
Yeah,
or whatever
it's
that
something
saying
like complacency is the same thing as something like inaction or some bullshit. I can't
like
remember
that.
What it is.
There's a slogan or something like that. And
that's
like that. I mean, I feel like we both feel very strongly. And again, that's why we're motherfucking friends, bitch.
Radis, period. Yes, because like what the fuck. So yeah, like I just feel like this shit is just getting crazier and crazier by the minute. But I'm telling you, I just feel like he really, like, he's already said so many times that he idolizes Hitler, and it just seems like everyone else around him, Elon, does too, and it's just very, very scary. So.
I'm gonna tell them what I told you when I picked you up. That today I was driving behind a car that had a Trump sticker, and then right next to it said "fuck Putin." I thought that was the funniest thing.
Like, they don't even realize.
I was just like, I guess they defunded the Department of Education wherever that guy went to school.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he doesn't understand that those things go together.
Hello. They're like besties. Well, actually, okay, so speaking of the Nazis and, those who love Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, decided to go on his typical predictable rampage because when he goes online and he starts saying crazy stuff, you guys know, like he always says something very unhinged. So he decided to do that again. But we all know that, well, what a lot of people always suspect is that it's really promotion because there's something coming up, some project of his. So they said that there is an album approaching soon. So that's why he's gone online and decided to kick up the dust all over again.
The things that people will say then for promotion, to make money at the end of the day. It's
truly
what
wild.
is it? Rage baiting?
Yes.
I think it's called,
It
right?
is rage baiting.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he's doing. So he went online, and first, I believe he started off with a series of tweets talking about how he's an Nazi. You guys know what I'm talking about. I just don't want to get us in trouble. He loves Hitler. And he just being like, okay, what are you guys going to do? So he kept posting about that, and then he kept talking about how much he loved Diddy. He kept saying that. He was mentioning that a lot this week. Apparently so much so that, like, he literally decided to call Diddy while Diddy's in jail, and decided to just be like, I love you, man, I got your back, which is really wild because before Diddy got arrested, Kanye went onto another podcast called Drink Champs and said that Diddy was working with the feds.
That's crazy.
He was like, he's a fed, fuck him, blah, blah, blah. So it's just so interesting that now all of a sudden, to promote your album, you've decided to conveniently change your mind about Puff. Okay, so now he's saying that he wants to be on Puff's album, and that he wants his daughter North to also be on the album. Yes. Now, the thing that is...
Kim, keep your babies so close to you.
Exactly. So that's exactly what she did, though.
Crazy, yeah.
So what happened was... I actually also have a... There we go. So we have a screenshot of this one, too. So, basically, he started getting pissed off because what happened is... Playboi Carti has a new album that actually just dropped, but I think that there's supposed to be also like a deluxe or something like that coming out soon. So that was it. Yeah, that was our cue. Okay. That was our cue. All right, guys. Well, that is your rundown for the week. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If we missed anything, drop it in the comments. We always love hearing from you. Make sure that you guys watch our other videos too. We've been having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, bitch.
in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out everything else. You guys can find a lot of video game videos from us, and we're gonna do a couple of reaction videos here and there. So there's one now.
Yeah.
We'll probably have more in the future.
We'll
but
figure it out.
You'll see. There'll be more stuff. If you guys wanted to check out the audio version of this podcast, maybe be easier if you're doing errands or at work or something like that, you can always check us out on just basically any platform.
I think right now Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I think those are like the two main, and Buzzsprout, but
that's what I was gonna say.
Those are the main ones. I think it's, if you don't have one, you have the other.
Right.
And both of those, if you ever want, the link will always be in the description to just go straight to our page, and then you could find whatever episode that you want.
Yeah.
And just listen to it that way.
Exactly.
Make sure, leave us a rating on there if you do listen.
Please, please, please.
And comment on this video, and like this video, and share it with all of your fucking friends that are liberal.
Please.
Maybe not the...
Seriously. I used to be afraid of using that black button. Never will I be again. So don't fucking play, okay?
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so we love hearing from you guys, unless it's some bullshit.
Yeah, literally. Unless you don't agree with us, then don't even think about commenting, because we don't care.
Oh my gosh, we're almost like Republicans, like in that way.
They're rubbing off on us.
They are.
That's all we see. Fuck.
Anyway, we'll talk to you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Yeah, I guess that's it. Bye, bitches.